Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome back.
Welcome back. It is Matt.
And it is Greg, and we are the bottom tier. Oh, man, that's like the third time in a row that we've nailed that.
It's called paying attention, Greg.
Which we do so rarely, Matt.
I was like, man, Greg's going to say it, so I'm going to say it, so it sounds cool on the internet.
And it did sound cool, and it is on the internet, right? Yeah. This very moment, friends, we're back.
We're back, yes.
Are you surprised? I'm not surprised anymore.
I'm not surprised, no. We're here, we're consistent, it's awesome. If you guys don't know, we are a flesh and blood podcast that likes to really dive into, not a little bit of strategy, but mostly just to have fun of the game and talk about this thing that we love.
Exactly.
Build a community of funness.
Exactly. So many people out there are super hardcore, really into all of the super competitive, like specific little deck building tips and all that stuff, and that's wonderful. But where's the space for the people who just like to have a good time?
Mm-hmm. And of course, on our YouTube, you'll see all those things. But
that
just comes with the territory.
That's because YouTube, the algorithm rewards certain things. The podcast is where it is, my friends.
Yeah,
the podcast is where the real stuff happens.
Yeah, real stuff. Guys, it is still amongst spooky spoiler season.
Spooky spoiler
season. And we have been getting so many more spoilers. And so let's just kind of jump right in straight away into the news of what's going on with these cards. We talked a lot last week about other stuff. So if you want to hear about like Rock and some of the other weapons.
Why wouldn't you want to hear more about Rock?
Yeah. If you want to hear about that, you can go listen to our last episode. But there was about 4 or 5 more cards that came out since then. Yeah. So, Greg, take it away. What was number 1?
All right. Well, so we'll just run through these in whatever order I feel like letting us run through it in. So let's start out with a weapon. Let's start out with the Quicksilver Dagger. Ooh, indeed. Warrior weapon, dagger, one-handed, 1 base power once per turn for 1 resource, attack. If another weapon you control has gained go again this turn, Quicksilver Dagger has go again.
Dang. Well, guess what? We have a Kodachi for warriors.
Da-da.
Yay. Is it better? I don't know.
For a warrior, sure. Because how many times are you going to end up with a 0-cost pitch if you're playing warrior, right? So if they just ported Kodachi over like directly, it wouldn't have worked all that well. Mm-hmm. This one, though, pretty nice.
It's pretty good.
Because really, as a warrior, you want to, swing sword, give it go again. Swing sword again.
Yeah.
Basically.
And like it could go really well. It doesn't go really well with like Hatchet of Body or Mind, but I mean, they attack for 2 at least. Probably you'll put a Centauri Saber with this sword, right?
First place I went with it, yeah.
Give that go again, be able to do that. I think this weapon, to be honest, we saw another warrior weapon come out last week or the weeks before with the axe. That's really, really costly. Mm-hmm. I feel like this weapon is the one that's meant for Bolton, because it reduces some of the costs that you need to do and allows Bolton to utilize his weapons more and then continue to do stuff to charge his soul.
I can see that.
Yeah. So I feel like this is a really good like combo one for Bolton. And you could be able to kind of have a little bit more out for that. So I like it. I'm stoked on it for those Bolton players out there. You're never going to switch away from Sabers for Kasai, I don't think. But
probably not. But I mean, we still have a lot of cards in this set to be revealed yet.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that we'll see some like real new synergies for all the warriors.
Yeah.
So maybe you do run Kasai with a Saber and a Quicksilver.
You never know. I mean, it's free for Kasai, so I mean that's good. It's 1 go again for free.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm stoked. That's a good little.
It's just solid. It's a little niche, but it's very usable.
Yeah.
And for people who want that little bit of like a faster attacks sort of warrior deck.
And also because it hits for 1, people are going to be more like, I'm not going to block. And then you get them with the in the swing.
Right. Exactly.
And then you're hitting them for 4.
Exactly.
So
or,
it's
you just stab a bunch of little dragons with it.
That's true too.
Right.
That's true. I like that one. That's a good one. I know we just kind of like abrasively just jumped right in here, but
yeah, we didn't have like much usually we take a couple of minutes and we like ease people into this stuff, but no,
we're in it. We're in it to win it. We're going top tier.
Matt, stop it. You're scaring me. I'm not comfortable here anymore.
Sorry.
All right. Next card. just moving right along here. Let's you know what? Let's go ahead and do the one that was revealed at the same time as Quicksilver. This one is a ninja card. It's just a ninja non-attack action. Predatory Streak. Now we have this confirmed in red. I don't think that we have it confirmed in yellow or blue yet.
Yeah. Is it common or rare?
All we have is promo right now, so don't know. But the red one at least is red, so 1 pitch, 0 cost. Effect, create 3 crouching tigers in your banish zone. You may play them this turn, go again, and blocks for 2. What the hell is a crouching tiger?
I don't know.
Other than a pretty good movie from the 90s.
I mean, well, I have a theory on that. You ready for that?
Please tell me that it's just going to be Michelle Yeoh on like a
my theory
card and
my theory is we have Crouching Tiger. That means Jomai has a hidden dragon.
Oh my god! Invoke hidden dragon. What?
Yeah, it's gonna be great. But no, it's either a new card that's able to be playable because it can be banished, which is a key word. But it could be a weird token that does something too,
like an ally or something that you summon out of the banish zone or something like that. Like,
I mean, like the thing that Crouching Tiger is. So like ninja is like martial arts movements, so it could just be like a weird martial art thing to add on to things, or maybe add a my thought is if it's a token, maybe it's something where it's like I add combo keyword to this, and that could do some certain effects as well.
Something like that, maybe, yeah. Or like target action card with combo gains go again or something like that. So you don't necessarily have to play your head jab before open the center in order to keep the chain going. You can kind of work it a little bit, like that, even if your draws aren't great.
And if it's only red for that, that means you can make 9 crouching tigers in your banish zone. So it means something. But if they have yellows and blues, that means you're probably going to get 2 and then
2
1.
and then exactly, yeah.
So, but it costs 1 to do.
It's free.
It's free.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be a token of some type because that seems really powerful if it's going to be a card called Crouching Tiger.
Yeah, it definitely seems too good to be like, even to be like a Phoenix Flame sort of thing. So yeah, I like that. The aim counter,
we don't know.
Like, what the heck's going on?
This
like,
set's added
more
new rules.
Questions than answers here in Flesh and Blood.
And it's not even spoiler season yet.
Right? Like the vast majority of the cards that they're spoiling haven't been. I looked at the list of people who still have to go yet, and it's like everybody other than us.
Well, we haven't hit it yet. So like, here's the deal: is like the spoiler season's going from like October 31st to November 2nd. That's when they were supposed to do the spoilers. These are all like stuff that was not announced that's just coming out. So that makes me curious of like, what's the big reveal that they wanted to date it out? Because these seem to be the tiny ones that are whatever.
But like still, DM Armada has theirs to do yet. Capolo has his to do. Red Zone Rogue, Teklo Foundry, Arsenal Pass, Fluke and Box. Like a lot of like really big names still haven't revealed anything.
Maybe we need to check our email.
Man, maybe we do. Because seriously, it's like Yazzy's on here.
We'll get there. Don't worry. One day.
Kagane, Melody Likes is on here. Heck yeah, Mel.
Yeah.
I don't know if they like to be called that or not. I don't actually know them, but I like their content. Anywho, let's keep moving on with the spoiler cards, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm really tired.
And I'm really awake.
Yeah, so the energy's a little funny in the room right now. Anywho, let's move on. Let's do another weapon, Matt. Let's talk about another weapon.
Yes.
We have kind of a cool one, frankly. A wizard weapon, 2-handed staff. Surgeon Aethertide. Once per turn action for 2 resources, deal 1 arcane damage to opposing hero. Go again. The first card you play each turn with an arcane damage effect instead deals that much arcane damage plus X, where X is the damage dealt by Surgeon Aethertide this turn.
That makes me really excited. Because I don't think Wizard has anything that boosts weapons like magic abilities.
Not explicitly.
Yeah. So I'm thinking because it's going to be a Warrior Wizard Emperor that they may make some wizard cards that boost wizard staffs or like the weapons of wizards, kind of like warriors do. The next
attack you declare gains +2 arcane damage or something.
So this might be really cool to be like, here you go. Now it does this much more arcane damage and this much more. And that would be really, really neat to be able to see and make that suspension of the Storm Striders make a little bit more sense.
And it sort of changes up the whole like wizard flow too, because with Kano and with Icelander right now, really what you want to do is you want to set things up to be able to take as much action on your opponent's turn as possible. Whereas this, because Aethertide's effect isn't an instant, it's an action, you have to do it on your turn.
Yeah.
So it really encourages the wizard to sort of pull back from that our turn, not your turn sort of mentality and really play a little bit differently, which is super interesting.
Right. Or like save your attack, like with those auras that came out with the last armory kits that everyone's been getting.
Blessing of Aether.
You could play the Blessing of Aether out, attack with that. You attack for 4. That means definitely, unless they have full Mole Rune, which is really rare, that means definitely something squeaking by. And that means your next attack is a little bit buffed for it.
Exactly.
So I like the weapon play.
It's really good. Like really, most of the weapons that they revealed so far for this set have been really cool. Like just really solid, like
but
weapon
not
type cards.
broken. Like there's
not broken.
There's
no
Rosetta
they're
Thorn.
balanced.
You know, like it's very.
There's nothing
like,
that's like out and away. Like oh my god, except maybe Hanabi Blaster.
That seems like it's going to be a new thing. You're right. I was thinking about that the other day. That's definitely going to be
that one's real good. Yeah. But yeah, really good. The art's really nice too. I don't know if you've seen the Marvel art.
Yeah,
on this
great.
one yet, but it's gorgeous. I'm so ready for this set. And then the final card that we have, and this one does come in rainbow. Water Glow Lantern, 0 cost illusionist action. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's red, create a spectral shield token. Go again, 2 block. So obviously, Dromai gets to do spectral shield builds now.
Woo! I mean, that's pretty cool, right? I really like that. Be able to block on purpose with those things and just make Dromai. Honestly, this could make Dromai like even more controlling.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Be like, I'm blocking all the time.
Literally everything. I'm no longer actually attacking you that much. I'm just sitting here waiting. And oh look, these 3 spectral shields. I'm actually running that one weapon that allows you to attack with them.
I think that's only a prism weapon. I think that was banned. Oh no, you could do the iris.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Horrifying.
That means you have to run a lot of blues though, and that card doesn't work well with them.
No, it does not. So it gets a little funny, but there is a blue variant of it.
There you go.
Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's blue, create a spectral shield token. So you could run a deck of entirely blue cards.
Wow, that's actually interesting.
Right?
That means yellows are definitely gonna be running prism. Maybe we'll get a blue illusionist. We have a red illusionist.
Right.
We have a yellow illusionist. We'll have a blue illusionist.
Right, exactly.
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
And then, of course, it gives Prism a little bit more flexibility in Blitz and Commoner because this is a common card.
Yeah. Commoner is going to be great. Like, this will be great for Commoner.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah, we'll
That's
see.
Gonna be nuts.
We'll see.
Prism's going to be even better now.
Yeah, right.
Yay. But that's it. That brings us up to the totality of spoilers so far. Pretty good little set.
I'm
this
stoked.
Last week.
I'm really stoked. Like all these cards look very unique and interesting, like builds and stuff. But it made me think of something, Greg, that I want to throw past you.
Please do.
So, as I said before, none of these weapons have seen, except for the Mechanologist. But the Mechanologist one also doesn't seem like game breaking. Like, oh, we'll never be able to beat this, right? No. Something that's happened in the past with sets is like there's always something that's like that's a steeple card, and we're forever gonna have that. There's been no steeples revealed. Right?
Yeah, there's nothing so far that I feel like would be a like everybody can use this to a certain extent. Sort of, it's all been fairly niche stuff so far.
Yeah, like I mean, we have the royal stuff and whatever, but we still need to see those royal cards to really understand what that means. But
we really don't have much royal at all at this point. Yeah,
but I think we're going to get one broken X steeple card that everyone's going to want to use, and I have a theory that it's going to be a generic weapon that needs to show up next.
Man, I really hope so, frankly.
And it's going to be something that people are going to be like, wow, I want to use that over like my normal weapon.
Right? And so like that's a really interesting sort of path to take, and I really hope that you're right, because as we've seen with Talishar, the Lost Prince, not the fabulous website that allows you to play the game online with friends. Quick shout out, I guess, to TalisharNet.net. Really good, really cool service.
Not sponsored.
not sponsored at all, but we like it. But so we've seen with the Lost Prince that there's some really interesting builds that you can do with that weapon that you wouldn't ordinarily be, think of doing otherwise. It's had success with some Levia builds, with some Dash builds. So if we can see like a good generic weapon that's like, oh my God, that really like opens up a different sort of, tack to build some of these heroes with, I think that's phenomenal. In addition to, buffing Merchant and
right.
all of those,
and I think it's going to be like a legendary generic weapon.
I hope so.
That's my thought. I think it'd be cool. It'll be called like Talishar Rosetta Thorn, you know? And instead of attacking for 2 arcane, 2 physical, be 4 arcane, 4 physical.
Yeah, exactly. Completely balanced in all ways.
Yeah. And cost 2, and you'll be like, oh my gosh.
Wow. So the best weapon in the game. All right.
Okay, cool. I guess I'm going to play this.
Forget Duskblade. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go for it. No, it's not going to be like that. But I mean, I do think we're going to see a generic weapon, and it's going to be maybe a legendary. But again, this is like my second set ever, so I'm probably really wrong. But that is a hope I would have, is to see like something like that. That'd be really cool. Because what I like about this is it's so far the set has made me think like, oh, I could build around this and change the way that these decks feel. Like I feel like it's a very good supplemental set to almost be like, we're changing the game because we're going to make sure every hero now feels like there's 3 different versions of that hero, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like if they do a generic weapon, that just adds another version of each hero that people can play around. So I think that's
just that much more freedom, that much more flexibility to really dig in and play the hero and play the games that you want to play in the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
Which is the coolest part about this game, is all the different ways that exist just kind of by default to build these different heroes. So anything that they do that brings more diversity to that sort of setup, like I'm 100% for that, and I really hope that they focus on that. I really hope that they focus on like good generics in general.
Yeah.
Not that the last couple of sets have been bad insofar as that goes.
Well, I mean, yeah, we have like a steeple that was made last time, which was Oasis Respite.
Oasis Respite. Or however you pronounce it, who cares? You know what I mean. I know what you mean. We're English. What is? But you get Oasis. Scar for a Scar just got reprinted recently, and that's a great card.
Right.
So obviously they're doing stuff with it.
We're definitely gonna get. In my opinion, we're probably gonna get Command and Conquer again.
There's definitely going to be a reprint. I personally still hope that they knock it down in rarity a little bit. So it's accessible to
That'd
people.
Be huge,
but they're probably not going to. My hopes and dreams for CNC to be a token is not. Is not.
Crouching Tiger's just like, oh, we actually just met in CNC.
Yeah, surprise! It's Command and Conquer, but it has a little tiger art now. No, you can't use it with the Emperor's effect. But yeah, so we'll see a couple of reprints, I think. But I really want like a new flush of good generic cards that you can go back to some of the older heroes, some of the older decks, and sort of bring them up into sort of the modern play. Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely. It's interesting because this game has been out for 3 years now.
Happy 3rd birthday, Fab.
Yeah, 3rd birthday. Worlds is its birthday, which is really exciting, which is happening in a couple weeks. But I was thinking about it, and like the card pool is, because it's my first TCG, so I may go on a little tangent here, but like I almost feel like I know every card, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's like, oh, I understand every card, which is very surprising because there's hundreds of cards and all that stuff. And so like I'm really excited for this set because I feel like it's going to bring a freshness to it and a freshness to that stuff, which is what it's meant to do. But yet, like when I play these games, especially in Commoner, all of a sudden those common cards that aren't used anymore become very surprising. Like Arcane Rising might be the most surprising common cards because I'm like the least familiar with it, because all of a sudden they'll be like cavernous, like crevice or whatever it is. I don't know whatever, but it's like the boat and whatever that attacks for 6.
I've opened one pack of Arcane Rising in my life. I don't know this set.
Yeah, it's crazy. So like I'm excited to be able to have that new fresh experience, to be able to see those things kind of happen, because it does change the way that things are built. But ultimately, like it kind of changes the way that Commoner is played too, because I feel like the common cards that come out in every set have really affected that format the most.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is really, really cool. Like it's a really cool format. If you guys haven't played in that format, shout out to play some Commoner.
Shout out to Commoner in general. Like Commoner's just a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're entirely correct. Like the new influx of card is 100% going to shake it up. Hopefully in some really like interesting ways.
Yeah.
Like the coolest thing for me about the breaking it up between like sort of like main or core sets and the supplemental sets is that the supplementals really give the chance for the people developing the game to look back at like concepts that they had previously or stuff that they just sort of like set breadcrumbs for, and really like start to tie those things together and bring forward some synergies and stuff. So I'm like, honestly, I'm just like super excited to see what kind of comes next. Like all of the, the new weapons and the new heroes and all that is super cool and everything. But like, show me some of the utility stuff. Show me some of the, the glue that holds the decks together. Because you can't, you can't shove an entire deck full of, channel mount heroics and have it function correctly.
Yeah.
But you can definitely shove a deck full of Scar for Scars and have it function just fine.
Right.
So
kind of, yeah.
it was kind of like not just fine, like it'll work sort of, but
just
it won't
like,
be very good.
Hit me! Oh, now I can go again forever.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna play my entire hand for free because Scar for Scar. But yeah, so like the common cards are really like the foundation of everything. So if your commons are good, then you have the freedom to really play with the rares and the majestics and all that. But if your commons suck, then it doesn't matter how good your rares and your majestics are, because you get like what, 5 of those in a box or something. Right. So like, who cares? I've got 900 of these other things that all suck. So,
and I'll admit, like, I don't think it's rares that are the problem. Rares barely like affect it too much because they're just a secondary common. Like the
secondary common,
the majestics are the things that really change like those games completely.
100%.
And so like I think that's interesting. Of like the difference between Commoner and Blitz right now is like Commoner just got rid of legendary equipment and the M's, and it feels like a more playable format because you're not getting
super accessible. Anybody can jump into it,
and your rounds can last a little bit longer, but it feels a little bit more balanced and close, right? While Blitz is just like, like it's just done. Like you're just Blitz, like, I'm playing and it's done.
Because Blitz has all like the full fat, like high power cards and half the life totals.
Yeah.
So I enjoy Blitz. I like playing Blitz. But it is definitely like, Blitz is an appropriate name for it because it's a very fast format. Even the slow decks move fast. In
for
Blitz.
Sure. It's just like the Blitz format has been mentioned lately as being like the entry format, when I think like LSS should be like, Commoner's the entry, then we have Blitz, and then we have that, and maybe we see Commoner at the next Worlds.
Man, like for realsies, like
that'd be so cool.
Commoner's going to be at Worlds. I was just reading this earlier today, actually, as like a side event. But perhaps for the next Worlds, we'll get like an actual like World Commoner Cup.
That'd be yeah,
right,
and we'll be there with our
commentating the entire time.
Yeah. Commoner commentating.
That's the dream.
That's the dream right now. Then that's my weird tangent of like standing up for Commoner and like what this set's going to do for that, which makes me really excited to just see what more of those common cards are going to be, because we've been seeing these weapons. I don't know what rarity they are because they're just showing the marvels of them and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see what the core of this like base set's going to be. And like the fact that they haven't done a big reveal yet, like official big reveal, makes me like, what is in this set that's going to be wild, like what is going to be coming back? Like, is there another Tunic that's going to be like, oh, this is better than Tunic? Or are we going to get like, we have like the steeple head and the steeple chest. Are we going to get steeple legs now? Like or the weapon? Like, I'm really excited to be able to see what that is. Yeah.
You and me both, man. Like really, honestly, like the best part about like the preseason leading up to this is all of like everybody just, what's the next thing? Oh, look at this card. It kind of sucks, but it's new.
And then it's like 2 weeks later, everyone's like, this set sucks.
Like, what about garbage?
Yeah,
like,
no. Be cool out there. Be cool. So that's exciting. We have another recurring segment, Greg.
Do we, man?
Great transition. We do.
Are you sure?
You know what it is?
Is it Lessons Learned?
Lessons Learned.
Lessons Learned.
Let's talk about it. How was your week in Flesh and Blood?
Oh man, it was kind of a slow week, to tell you the truth.
Oh, okay.
I ended up actually playing more against AI on Felt Table than I did anything else, which was really neat and kind of brings me around to my lesson. The lesson being, there's a bunch of different ways to like test decks and sort of play around with concepts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I played a lot of Felt Table last week.
Yeah.
And I was testing out some new decks because, Talishar is wonderful and I love it. But jumping into a game with a random other person can sometimes be stressful. You don't necessarily have the time to wait around a queue or any of that kind of stuff. And especially with Commoner being the format that I play the most often, and that I kind of test most of my decks on to start with, not everybody is interested in playing it. So sometimes you have to wait around for a
Commoner
really long
has a
time.
pretty long wait time,
Yeah.
depending on the time of day.
Exactly. And I don't necessarily have, an hour to wait around for somebody to jump in the lobby with me. So I've been playing, against the AIs, and they're not amazing, but they're fairly good.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, I was able to fine tune a couple of decks to bring into this Commoner League that we play online. And I didn't end up taking it, but I did pretty well with a deck that I had never actually played against another person before. Got much closer than I think I would have otherwise because I had that sort of familiarity with it.
That's awesome.
So rather than just, sitting around and just playing my own hands and stuff, I was actually able to play an actual game with some stuff that I didn't necessarily see coming and could respond to some different situations and sort of just test it out. So the big lesson for me this last week has been don't be afraid to get the game in when you can, where you can, how you can.
I like it. That's a great lesson. That's really, really good. You're right. Like I felt like this last week has been really, really busy because I got a new job for those who don't know.
Yes, he did. Round of applause, everybody.
So it's just exhausting.
Matt's moving up in the world.
Woo! Yeah, it's just been exhausting learning the new schedule and stuff because I'm switching to night shift, which is why I'm like, I'm awake and you're tired.
Yes, sir.
Because I just woke up a little bit ago. So yeah, I haven't had as much time as I would want to like go online and be able to practice, but I have been able to do a couple things. And so my lesson learned this week is a recurring lesson. It's interesting. So learning your local meta is different than playing in in other real life. So for example, the best way to be able to see that is I feel like everyone should be practicing draft, but there needs to be a way to practice draft out in the world,
100%,
not in your local meta. Because what's happening now is as I go to my local meta and participate in draft, I look at my peers that I see from week to week and go, you're running Fi, you're running Dramai, you're running Icelander, you're running Fi.
You like this kind of deck, and you like this kind of deck. Yeah.
I'm the pivot point. I pivot. Right? Yeah. So it's just like, now we have a balanced thing. Now we have a balanced-ish pod. And I am forced into this position of playing this hero because I'm pivot man,
Yeah.
Like, no, everyone looks at me and goes like, he's running fire. They don't know what I am because I pivot. Right?
Right.
And so I do okay. Like I got third once in one of these drafts, but I really lost last time because I decided to go Dramai and not draft dragons.
That's an interesting call.
Well, I was like, I'm going for Ember Moss and I'm going for but it was actually the wrong call. But you got to get a couple dragons in there at least to prevent to make people whatever. But it's interesting because I know the local meta. It has this interesting spot of like, we know each other so well that we kind of know what we're going to pick.
Yeah.
Right. And so I really do think there needs to be something maybe on Talishar or something that remakes draft pods for people to be able to practice to get a more real life scenario of what it's going to be like if you go to Worlds or if you go to like Pro Tour. Because something that came back with a lot of our friends here from Pro Tour is they were like, man, the draft was the hardest part because
did really great in all the constructive stuff. But then draft came.
Draft was like
knocked them flat
because you don't know what those other people are going to run, and so it makes it a little bit different. And so I feel like a lesson learned is make sure you always are going out of your comfort zone, I guess, inside those scenarios, because when the meta, your local meta, you already know what everyone's going to do. I think that's an unhealthy like local scene a little bit because you have to be like no one's adapting to pivot or they're really forcing into their spot, and that's great. Like that's cool, but I don't think it's like astronomical in any way to like help improve anyone. You know what I'm saying?
It's stagnation, right? If you do the same thing often enough, like sure you get it down, but then everybody else around you kind of knows, like you were saying, what you're going to be doing. Yeah. And as a result, what they're going to be doing ends up being basically the same every time, and then you just have the same event over and over and over again. Yeah. So like I'm 100% with you. One of the biggest things about a format like draft or like sealed deck is that it evolves a little bit every time. You never have the same deck. You never have, exact access to all the same stuff. So you can really use it as an opportunity to try a different play style, to try a different deck build, to spread your wings a little bit and just see what else could work. Even if you're not necessarily like going like crazy left field with it or anything, you can still, not draft dragons as Dromai and try to go for more of like just a tall, illusionist beat stick sort of strategy. Which, bold.
Did you great. But
but you took the swing.
Right.
And that's what matters.
I wanted to try it. The other thing that's interesting is my lesson learned is kind of just more, as always, conceptual, but I mean, like, kind of get out of your meta as the main lesson of like the draft, right? The other thing with draft is I feel like Uprising has really changed a lot of people's mindset in draft, because I've drafted a couple other sets too, where everyone kind of waits, where it's like, I'm going for the generics first to kind of feel what everyone else is trying to do before I like move forward.
And then get your class specific stuff after that.
And then go for that, right? Uprising's such a set where everyone's already hard drafted, ready. I picked this, I'm going. Before they even open a pack. I feel like that's happening a lot. And so I think like draft has kind of changed its mentality in that way. Because like when I switch from Uprising to another set now, I'm already like, I'm going to be this year, this is why. And it's like, I feel like that is actually hurts me in a way for that. For the draft, for the limited format. So I think that people's mind shift a lot needs to kind of go back to like, we're actually playing the mental game of like, who is this person and what's everyone doing?
Besides what the cards give you and then go from there, as opposed to forcing your will on the cards.
Yeah. Or I just got better at draft. I don't know. Like right.
One of those two.
Yeah. But like the thing, or whatever. So like, it's just that like, it's kind of my lesson learned is like, A, I'm not really enjoying the Uprising draft, and B, like everyone's kind of like stuck in this thing. And I would like, I want to switch it up and play like a different set for a second, but I understand Worlds is coming and they're really pushing Uprising.
Got to work the Uprising.
Which I think Worlds should be like, hey, we're throwing in Monarch. You're like,
surprise! It's welcome to Wraith, everybody.
Like everyone's like, oh my
I hope you got your foundations down, because everyone's running Rhinar and Bravo today.
But yeah, it's cool. Another thing is like, deck building. Deck building is tricky, especially when you get into high level play.
Yep.
It's finding the cards you need to get rid of is the hard part.
That's the biggest trick of it. It's not necessarily the cards you include, it's the cards you don't include.
Yeah.
Like take like an elemental hero or something, for example. Just because take Briar, perfect.
Yeah.
Just because you can stack a deck with all lightning cards does not mean you should.
Right.
I've learned that lesson firsthand.
Right. Well, and then you go like, oh, that's not right. And then you have to be like, I need to take this out because I felt wrong. So like just paying attention to what feels good in your hand is something I'm constantly learning as well.
And then what synergies and stuff actually work. Because you can have the idea of what you want to have happen, and then you draw all the cards, and then they have a counter for it that you didn't even conceive of or something. Or you just can't get the right sequence of cards or something. So it's deck building.
Deck building.
Oof.
Those are my lessons learned.
Good lesson.
Drafting and deck building.
Drafting and deck building.
Who would have thought?
It fundamental to the game?
Oh my gosh.
What?
You learn something new every week on those things.
Like, no, we just learn the same things over and over again. And one day they'll take and we'll become top tier.
We'll become the top.
The top tier.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like, this game is really interesting. It's in an interesting spot because I feel like everyone is now waiting for the new set. And so things aren't changing too much in the meta or anything like that, as they're getting excited for that. I am excited to kind of like, I wish there was like a season going on right now in October of like Blitz or something.
Right.
Cause I'm kind of like CC. I'm kind of like, yeah, we've been playing, we got to get ready for Blitz for Worlds. So like, I wish our community was playing more Blitz lately. So I could like get back into that little zone of thinking. Cause, I'm kind of getting like this, like, all right, I'm kind of like tired of CC a little bit. I'm tired of draft a little bit.
Yep.
Like I need something fresh. So Blitz would be good. Commoner is always a good time because I feel like our community always changes up every week, but yeah, it's good. So I think the community is doing great as a whole. I just think the game is just waiting for Worlds at this point and waiting for the new set.
Yeah, it's definitely in sort of like a like an interregnal period.
Yeah.
That is a word. You can look it up.
I believe you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I deeply appreciate that.
Yeah.
So we're definitely in that sort of like liminal space as far as the game goes, because people aren't really like taking the big swings with deck building or anything right now. After the most recent ban is suspended list, everybody just kind of polished up what they already had to suit the current requirements, and then it's just refining from there. So for the last month, everybody's just been like, okay, well, getting the reps in with the same deck.
Well, I feel like the last month has been like, here's another lesson learned: break. Everyone's taking a hiatus.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got to take a quick break because we had this crazy pro tour, and I need to like chill out for a second. And I feel like the community as a whole, like in our local area at least, is kind of just like, instead of having like 12 people show up, we have like 6 to 8, like showing up
slows down.
So everyone's been taking break, but now I feel like with the 3 weeks left until Worlds, or 2 weeks, we see those people coming back being like, I am just playing this deck to make sure I fine tune it so I can
spike
go.
So that everybody's going to Worlds can be at the top of their game. And then after Worlds, we're going to see 2, maybe 4 weeks of people just going like, yep, Worlds are done. We're not playing for a little while.
That's not true, because then Dynasty comes out. And so everyone will be playing like,
oh God,
I am building the deck. So it's like Worlds, and then everyone's going to be
just
back.
play exclusively Dynasty, and they won't even like touch any of the old stuff.
Well, there'll be changes. Like they're going to be touching the old stuff, because Dynasty's not draft set.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, like to an extent, sure. But when I say old stuff, I don't mean necessarily like, oh, no one's going to play Bravo for like the next 6 months or anything. I mean like sort of the old concepts of the decks. They'll move away from, I think, what has been into the full new, like we're not seeing people get super experimental right now because Worlds is coming up.
Yeah.
Once Worlds is over and the new deck and the new set drops,
we're gonna see so much. Like I'm gonna be playing in that space. It's gonna be so much fun.
Creativity is coming out at that point, because there's no major tournaments for a little bit after Worlds. The brand new set comes out, and then it's mostly just armory events and stuff for the
and it gets to be kooky and crazy, and
it gets to be a little kooky and a little crazy and have a good time.
Christmas comes early,
Exactly. Christmas in November.
Yeah.
Here in Flesh and Bloodland.
Yeah. So it's gonna be awesome. Like I'm really excited for the future of it. Like I'm excited to go play Armory tonight and all that stuff, and be able to see all the people prepping for Worlds. But yeah, so that's kind of where the space is at. It's interesting. Like, it kind of feels like a weird lull right now in the community. And news is just like, that's all that's feeding us is like, new thing. So I feel like there's nothing like crazy like happening.
It's just like all anticipation right now for the upcoming stuff.
So I'm excited for it. And I hope you guys are excited too out there on the interwebs. It's going to be a really cool set, and I'm excited to be able to kind of think of builds, but maybe next week or something, we can kind of like, maybe we can take some of the cards and build strategies around them and talk about like how we can build a strategy around some of the things we've seen.
You heard it here first, folks. 2 casuals are going to be sitting down and talking about their deck building strategies. You will probably want to miss it.
No. What? Don't even say that. All right, guys, like and subscribe, because Greg said that.
Right? Show me that I'm wrong.
Double down.
Prove that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Honestly, we are very close to hitting our 100 number for YouTube.
So close.
So if you guys could definitely it just takes a quick second to go on YouTube and search a Bottom Tier Podcast and just hit that subscribe button. That would help us out a lot. I know there's a lot of people that download the podcast. There's a lot more that download and listen on other sites outside of YouTube. So if you could do that real fast, that'd be awesome, because I just want to be able to change the domain.
God, right.
And we'll have some spooky content come out next week. I apologize that there hasn't been content as crazy as it's been this past week because of this whole shift. I am relaxing a little bit.
As well you should, Matt. You deserve a little bit of a break. You double deserve a little bit of a break for doing a voice there at the end of that last phrase. Yes. Really dug it.
This is how I think the Emperor talks.
You know what? Honestly, I believe that. That sounds exactly like that guy looks.
Yeah. The voice changed somewhere. Now he's a pirate.
He's the Emperor. He gets to be whatever he wants to be. That's why he's the Emperor.
The hero I'm most excited for to come out in this Dynasty set is the character that's on Belittle. His name's Torbjorn from Overwatch.
Oh my God! You know what? If that was actually man, you had me there for a second. Like I was like, oh man, does Matt have like some info that I don't? Are we getting the guy from Belittle? Because no lie,
I would love it.
I would play that dwarf character. 100%. I mean like the fantasy dwarf character, not like you understand. I would play that little man like in a heartbeat. I think that'd be amazing.
Fun fact, I was talking to some other people in our armory as we were thinking about Flesh and Blood as a whole, and you kind of just like sparked this in my head. Is like there's a lot of human races, I guess, in Flesh and Blood as a whole for heroes. There's only like 2 orcs and a mechanologist as far as like fantasy races wise, and a robot, right?
There's a robot and there's Reinar and KO, and that's pretty much it. And if I understand the lore correctly, they're not actually like a separate species. They're just like humans who are adapted to the Savage Land or something.
So there's no like fantastical like fantasy trope races, which is very fascinating. Like we don't have the elves, the high fantasy like elves. But that Miniwism card does show we have dwarves, right?
Yeah.
I believe that is, unless it is just,
just a small person.
Either way, dwarf, right?
Exactly.
I think I hope that's the proper. Get in the comments and yell.
Guys, please yell at us if we are not using the correct terminology. But we don't want to use the wrong terminology.
Right. But I am stoked because it's like that would be another fantasy race to be able to do, because nothing it would be cooler to me than having a kobold.
Oh my God.
As a playable hero.
I just got like Neverwinter Nights flashbacks.
Kobold, mechanologist.
I've got like Deacon just doing lines in my head now.
Yeah. Like I would like that, but like we need to have some more of that fantastical stuff. So Flesh and Blood, get on that. Bird people would be cool.
James White, you listen.
People.
You listen.
Bird people.
Make it happen.
But guys, thank you for listening to the Bottom Tier Podcast. I am Matt.
And I am Greg. Friends, we hope you have a great, great rest of your week. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Stay frosty, bottoms up.
Boop.